Did you ever consider to give up?
Yes, many times. So it's a very huge risk. Very often people don't believe you. We can dramatically change how the semiconductors are made. We are changing the status quo. The founder, it's a solo game. I'm always thinking how to make the company successful.
And what is the hardest leadership lesson you have learned?
Fire fast. The longer you wait, the more it costs. You need to be right only once. I always was thinking to make a significant impact and change. My name is Maksym Plakhotnyuk. I'm a CEO and founder of ATLANT 3D. How did I start the company? That's a good question. I was a Ph.D. student in Technical University of Denmark, working in a clean room, making solar cells. And I was always thinking why I need to spend that much time in a clean room, working with that many machines, while many of them were not really producing the results I want. And very often I have to stay even overnight or late to complete some work, because during the day machines were also occupied. So you really need kind of book things in advance. And when you want to produce a whole batch of devices, then it becomes really lengthy. So just to make one batch of devices, it can easily take a few months. By working later, I managed to produce batches of devices way faster. Then my biggest bottleneck was actually to characterize and measure and then learn faster. So I was always looking how I can produce more data in a very short time, and this was really not possible with the standard approach. And I was thinking why there is no such technology that can really fast give you various materials, and you can integrate these materials in the device and then like solar cell, and then see what happens very fast. So learn, iterate, and then integrate. With this thought, I was like for a few years, and then when the time came, I was on one conference. The one professor was presenting his development, spatial ALD, presented their artifact when he basically deposited two materials or two processes, they overlap, and he said, oh, I actually defined there is a line printed, and with this I saw that kind of this overlap, something can happen. And I was like, oh wow, so with this actually we can create features, and from these features we can develop further some more advanced solutions. And I was thinking to create a nozzle. Initial technical solution was in the form of like KFM tip that can open and close a valve and then allow gases go through this hole. And I came to my PhD advisor, and he looked at this and said it's really complicated. If you make it with a technique, and he had this kind of experience in his group, it will take like forever. You need to make very complicated system. And then I found the company who actually tried this approach with nano tips in Chicago. They raised 150 millions, and I was like, wow. They not were closing, opening and closing valves. They were basically bringing the ink to the spot, and I was thinking, okay, something is going on in this direction. Then I went to the conference in Barcelona, and then at the conference I presented my concept of this localized open-closed system that basically can deliver locally materials. And one of the guests at this conference, he came to me in the end of my presentation, and he said, I think your approach would not work, but I know how to make it. And that was one of the co-founders, Ivan Kundrata. And we went that evening for like dinner, and we sat for long drinking beer, and then in one evening we designed with a new concept how this can be realized. So we came with the concept of how to make this localized nozzle in a centric form, and that was the beginning. Within 1 month we filed a patent, and we started, and then we came with idea how to make this nozzle not with like multi-layers, but in a glass as a monolithic device. And this is basically how all of this started.
And what was the hardest moment in the early days?
When you start something that no one previously did, I think the hardest moment for me was that first, you don't know if this would succeed. So it's a very huge risk if you would not waste your time on something that would not benefit or would not bring it. It's a part of the entrepreneurship mindset mindset when you kind of need to believe in something that no one else can. And that's one. Second, when you develop some breakthrough or some concept that doesn't have a proof, very often people don't believe you, and you need to find a way how to communicate this. Second, it's way harder to get the funding for this type of new concept and new ideas, especially if they are deep tech or breakthrough opportunity, because sometimes people see it as a huge risk for their money, and that's two things that I faced at that moment.
And who were the first people who believed in the vision?
The co-founders, that's Ivan and Julian, and that's my professor that I work at that moment, Ole Hansen. Basically, he said, I think it's possible, and that was a very big encouragement, because for me, he was a big name, and everyone respect him for that as well, not only me, but if he said, I think it's possible, it was like a very strong validation for me. Yes, I think it can work. When some people give you confidence that you can achieve it, it's sometimes highly valuable than anything else.
It's not an easy journey. Did you ever consider to give up?
Yes, many times. And I think you probably would ask the question, what did you do to solve it, right? I remember one time I came to my wife very kind of upset and kind of said, look, I think I will give up. I don't want to run this anymore. And she told me, okay, this is your choice. You can give up. But tomorrow you will go, you need to find a job in a regular company, go from 9 to 5 to work, and then kind of do the boring job, and then listen to someone that you cannot believe, or you would see that you can do better, and then kind of you would be demotivated, so you will hate that job. And I was like, okay, you convinced me, so I take it back. I kind of continue running this. So my solution in this type of situation, I talk to my wife, and she always give me argument, why should I not continue? Why should I not accept other realities? And it's one good motivation. Second, I always think in these situations, the time always can be ups and down, but if you give up, what options you have? And these options are not better than what you have right now, unless they are exceeding and this option converts in something bigger, which also possible, but that's, I think it's a positive scenario. When I hear also some of my team members saying that they want to give up and so on, I'm telling them, okay, if you give up, I'm using the same tactic as my wife does. What you're going to face? You will go to another job where you would do only one small function every day. It becomes boring, and then here you do that much, you learn that much, and then there you would do this little. Of course, you would be less busy, but probably that's not what you're seeking for. And then the right people, they kind of understand this logic.